I think we all have come to this conference because everybody who is in this room knows that we are experiencing an absolutely unprecedented systemic and existential crisis of civilization. You have the coincidence of a war danger where NATO is confronting Russia in a very, very aggressive fashion, which could lead to a third world war. You have a US confrontation against China in the South China Sea. You have the danger of a new 2008 type of financial crisis which could blow up the financial system. And naturally, you had yesterday or 2 days ago the Brexit, Great Britain voting to leave the European Union. And as we all know, this was not a vote against Europe as such, but it was a vote against a completely unjust system and a corrupt elite. Now, the conference has one topic, or one subsuming topic, and that is to define solutions to these crises, to discuss what would be the new paradigm, and is mankind capable of solving such an existential crisis? Now, we have distinguished speakers from 4 continents, from many countries, and obviously, these are the people, or they are representative of the kinds of people which are determined that a solution is being found. And before I go into touching upon these various mortal dangers, the solution is easy. So be at rest and be calm. If men unite for a good plan and act in solidarity with courage, any crisis in human civilization can be overcome, because that is the nature of human beings, that when we are challenged with a great evil, that an even greater force of good is being awoken in our soul.
Helga, I'd like to thank you for that very inspiring set of opening remarks. We have entered a world in which, as William Butler Yeats put it in 1919, things fall apart. The center does not hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. In Europe, in America, and in parts of Asia, there is a sense of foreboding, an elemental unease about what is to come. There is vexing drift amidst political paralysis. Demagoguery is ascendant, and the stench of fascism is in the air. This is the global context in which China has proposed to integrate the entire Eurasian landmass with a network of roads, railroads, pipelines, telecommunications links, ports, airports, and industrial development zones. If China's One Belt, One Road concept is realized, it will open a vast area to economic and intercultural exchange, reducing barriers to international cooperation in a 65-country zone with 70% of the world's population, over 40% of its GDP, generating well over half its current economic growth. In concept, the Belt and Road Program, which is one of the major topics of this conference, is the largest set of engineering projects ever undertaken by humankind. Its potential to transform global geoeconomics and politics is proportional to its scale.
Bonjour, je vais m'exprimer en français.
I want to congratulate the Schiller Institute for organizing this conference at a critical moment when the threat of a nuclear war, which would lead to the extinction of humanity, becomes clearer by day because of the concentration in the heart of Europe of weapons capable of destroying the planet within seconds. To respond to the reinforcement of US strategic forces inside NATO on European territory, Russia was forced to deploy an equivalent arsenal of deterrence on its western borders. It's therefore high time that the strategists of various countries, even those far from the European theater, demand restraint and more wisdom from the heads of state of the entire world. This is the purpose of this beneficial initiative by Mrs. Helga Zeppler-Rouge, whom I wish to compliment personally.
So, la pensée de Larouche s'inscrit dans le devenir. Larouche thinking proceeds from the becoming as a science which is the active principle of the economy. Le système financier transatlantique, and I proceed in French, le système financier transatlantique.
The transatlantic financial system in which we are living, based on accumulation of money, is leading to the opposite, not to the science of physical economy, but to chaos and war, or more precisely and more tragically, to a combination of both. The preceding speakers have shown that the current world is more dangerous, yes, more dangerous than it ever was during the heights of the Cold War. Those proclaiming themselves realists and reasonable while following the rules of the game of the system, in reality contribute to its collapse by the mere fact that they operate inside the system without fighting it. Now we have arrived at a point in history where systemic change, a just concept of economy and man are necessary for the survival of all. Money has no intrinsic value. It is nothing but an instrument acquiring value through what it promotes. From there on, what is the goal to reach?
First of all, we're looking at this issue of man as such. Man's ability to create higher levels of development of the human powers of mankind. The next thing is, how do we understand how do we find things that are going to make us, mankind, more existent, more successfully existent? And that's another question. And all these things are simple scientific questions. And what we depend upon is driving what we call physical science and driving it per capita to a higher level always. And then you have to, in that process, you have to define what the means is by which you're going to do this. My concern is always to come up with a new technology, a more advanced technology, one which overturns and obviates the need for an existing technology. My specialty is concentrating on the revolution in the applicable technologies. And that is the only device by which I know that mankind can improve the requirements for mankind now.
The European financial system is collapsing. It's collapsing because of wrong policies bringing out by European government and by the European Union. Clearly a first step, and we proposed one bill in the Italian Parliament and one in the European Parliament in the framework of the banking structural reform, is restoring banking separation. We think that we have to set up a sort of modern European Glass-Steagall that will simplify the regulation on the banking system and will make the separation between the core, the part of a bank, and the speculative bank, in order to create a banking system that is no more focused on speculation on the financial system, but on the needs of the real economy, on the needs of people. And this is the first step.
Another threat facing humanity is the U.S. animosity towards Russia, as if we were still in the Cold War period. This was discussed in the previous panel, but very roughly I will just say about it. A missile system is being set up to encircle Russia, and of course Moscow is preparing a defense shield to counter it. The EU embargo on Russia after the Ukrainian crisis is not at all helping the situation. Also, threats have been recently made by Obama against China and the need to restrict her economic power. With a collapsing EU and a USA looking for confrontation with Russia and China, a solution for humanity can be the BRICS initiative, which is the initiative of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa to pursue a policy of economic development for the benefit of humanity. They have created their own development bank to invest in necessary development projects. China has established the Asian Infrastructure Bank, joined by over 20 Asian nations as founding members, and has set up a Silk Road Development Fund.
I would like to express my gratitude and honor to be part of this important event. Over the past 30 years, the Schiller Institute has played a significant role in promoting international discussion on major topics and have shaped the future of our world. Since ancient time, the Silk Road has been a symbol of the commercial artery to connect Asia and Europe, creating wealth and culture exchange to benefit all countries involved in this area. Our conference today, and I hope to build on this ancient tradition by bringing together scientists and politicians to develop a new Silk Road and begin the process of healing, integrating, and regenerating, as this region, this very important region, Central Asia. Our vision is to create a secure and peaceful life for our region, which will allow thousands of refugees to return back to their homes and rebuild their communities again.
I would like to express my heartfelt sympathy and support to the people of Syria, Iraq, Libya, and the larger Middle East and North Africa, countries who are subjected to a wanton destruction as a result of a mistaken policy of regime change by some global powers. Allow me also to thank the Schiller Institute for inviting me to speak on a broad topical issue, the importance of the economic development of Ethiopia in the context of the new Silk Road and the greater African region. Dear friends, Ethiopia considers China's Silk Road Economic Belt and Maritime Silk Road projects, jointly known as One Belt and One Road, as another milestone opportunity that could contribute to sustain its economic development together with all the countries in our region. We believe as the last decade or two have witnessed the resurgence of trade between Africa and the East, the new Silk Road would also further strengthen the mutual benefits of expanded trade between nations. This will apply to the relationship between Ethiopia and its traditional partners as well. Together with our neighbors in the region, we are determined to attain Ethiopian and indeed African renaissance, which can harness the new possibilities opened by developments like the new Silk Road. I thank you.
Good morning. I want to talk to you about Syria, and the title of my intervention is In Syria and Elsewhere, Against the War Party and the Law of the Jungle. We have to rebuild peace in respect of international law. These are my themes. First of all, the world today is in great danger of war, more than ever before. It's going through a global crisis, that has been said already. One hears much about a new Cold War, which would lead us back to the old confrontation between the free world, so-called the axis of good, and the totalitarian bloc, dubbed the axis of evil by George Bush. We have to lift immediately the sanctions. If there's a message I want to give you, these sanctions have to be lifted. It's a crime of war. It's a major crime of war. This has to be lifted right away. We have to fight for this.
Dear Mrs. Helga Zebla-Roche, the Honorable Chairwoman of the Schiller Institute and the New Silk Road Lady, dear Mr. Hussein Askari, the Middle East Coordinator of the Schiller Institute, ladies and gentlemen who are gathered in this conference in Berlin today. I carry a great deal of joy and gratitude for you and for your team for the outstanding awareness achieved in my country about the New Silk Road and the World Land Bridge and the new economic system of the BRICS. All that awareness delivered special marks, that is, acquiring through our advisory office the rights to publish and distribute the Arabic version of the EER special report, The New Silk Road Becomes the World Land Bridge, and printing 1,000 copies for the Yemeni market.
If we need to create a world for all, if we need to create a peaceful world, if we need to create a prosperous world for all, we need to create a conceptual, intellectual concept of one world. We need to create a conceptual concept of a Silk Road. Not only an actual Silk Road, but an intellectual Silk Road. All of you know that Aleppo and Syria were extremely crucial in the ancient Silk Road that connected Asia to Europe. Syria and the Syrian people will be more than happy to be also very active in a new Silk Road, in a political, social, intellectual Silk Road that connects Asia to the West, that connects Eurasia to the West.
Not only Aleppo, but all of Syria, with its people, culture, and artifacts, represents a unique and living testimony to the coexistence and continuity of different human civilizations. It is imperative that the world defend and preserve it, and, when peace is established, make it the world capital for the dialogue of civilizations.
So I think we should be fully conscious that in this present crisis lies a tremendous chance to reach a new renaissance as significant and maybe even more significant than the change from the Middle Age to the modern times. That if we break with the axioms of the globalization, of the deductive thinking, of all the things which have led to this crisis, and focus on the creativity of mankind as that which distinguishes us from other species, that we can live to see, many of us probably can live to see, a world where each child is educated universally, and that the normal condition of mankind will be genius, that which is human, to be fully developed, to have all the potentials developed of the human species as creative composers, scientists, engineers, extraordinary people discovering things which we don't even know the question thereof, like China going to the far side of the moon. We will understand secrets of the universe which we don't even know yet to ask. And people will become better people. I believe that the true nature of human beings is good, that every human being has a capacity for limitless self-perfection and goodness of the soul. And to accomplish that is within reach. And let's work for it.